hello everyone. Welcome to the news desk. Rich Hagan sitting alongside the MTG community manager, Mr. Nate Price. And over there in the distance, you get a Mr. Zach Hill, because he's at the video wall about to be thrown to the wolves. And the wolves in this case are you at home. So here's what we're going to do. Make sure you're in Cover It Live chat. We're going to get Zach to look at 8 picks players made, and you're going to decide what you think the best pick for them would be. Now, if you were with us at the last Pro Tour, we made it the second pick. We showed you what they did first, then we said, what should pick 2 be? This time, we've decided to go a little bit deeper. We're going to show you the first 2 picks, and you get to say, so what now for pick 3? So, Nate, who are we going to start with?
Let's see.
Should we go with Mr. Good?
I think Mr. Good is probably the best player for us to start with.
Okay, so Michael Good, there you see him up on the wall there. He is sitting on the right, on the left of Reed Duke, on the right of, let's say, Aromnianak. So, yeah, did that well. All right, so why don't we take a look at his first 2 picks. So he opens up with Narset Enlightened Master. All right, so that's a nice, big, powerful Jeskai Mythic clan leader. What about pick 2? Narset was joined by Burn Away. So Zach, you've got Narset and Burn Away in front of you, and the question becomes, so what now?
Well, so, I mean, what you're expecting, those cards go really, really well together. You've also demonstrated a pretty bold willingness to commit to Jeskai. Not going to really want to get out of that right now. The problem is that you see this amazing card, Bear's Companion, third, after getting past 1 second. So that's a card that's in blue and red, open to you, but it would demand a bit of a switch. That said, you're also seeing Debilitating Injury, one of the best commons in the set. Again, not in your colors in Jeskai. The only cards available to you in your colors that you actively want to play, you've got Mystic of the Hidden Way and Scion of Glaciers, quite a bit of a downgrade. I think what you do is you say, okay, Narset's good, but Bear's Companion is a card speaking to me the most. The reason I want to do that is not just because of this pick, but because I want to set myself up for what's coming later in the draft. If people have already passed me 2 Bear's Companions, I'm looking at Teamer and saying, look, I want to commit to this. I want to cut this off. I want to be the Teamer drafter and maybe be even the only Teamer player at the table. So, Rich, I would probably go for Bear's Companion here. The next pick, I guess, is Mystic of the Hidden Way, but Jeskai not looking so good in the 3rd pack.
All right, well done, Zach. Plenty to think about there. Nate, what are people starting to think in the chat?
Well, I heard a lot of thoughts for both Mystic of the Hidden Way and for Alabaster Kieran.
Mm-hmm.
It's looking to me like the winner right now, I think the best quote is easy, unblockable guy. So Mystic of the Hidden Way is going to take it with over 50% of the votes.
Okay, so let's see what they actually picked. Michael Good went with Alabaster Kieran. So a lot of people would have gone Mystic of the Hidden Way, but Alabaster Kieran was the pick. All right, let's move on round the table. And our second player, let's see who are we going to look at. We're going to move round to the left. Alexei Aromniak from Belarus. Let's have a look at his first 2 picks. So he opens up with Siege Rhino. So again, super gold, super clear direction. What about pick 2? Pick 2 is Dead Drop. So Zach, we have Siege Rhino and Dead Drop, and the question is, so what now?
Okay, so we're on a Bear's Companion theme. I think the difference this time is that it's there's only 1 color overlap as opposed to 2. So it's a lot bolder of a commitment to dive into that. We see an Alpine Grizzly, more of a Teamer card than an Abzan card, but it's definitely one of the premier, more powerful cards in the pack. Looking at Scoured Barrens, I think is really important. I like to start taking mana fixing early. That's something that I'm looking at because I want to actually be able to cast that Siege Rhino, not something that you're guaranteed to do. Feat of Resistance, arguably one of the better white cards. It's a little bit harder to use in a mid-range deck, which is what you're signaling with Siege Rhino and Dead Drop. Right now, I've got 2 of the most powerful cards in the entire format. My strategy is figure out how I can make sure to cast these cards, because if I can do that, I'm probably going to win. I'm looking at Scoured Barrens here. I think the next card I'd pick would probably be Alpine Grizzly, but I really want to pick up the dual lands in this kind of deck, so I'm going with the Barrens.
All right, thanks very much to Zach Hill. There's only one of him, but there's an awful lot of you sitting at home. Nate Price, what have we got?
This is actually a lot closer than the last one was. It's almost a dead heat between the Scoured Barons that Zach chose to help fix his mana. And just behind it is Feat of Resistance, which is one of the better combat tricks in this format.
For sure. So the question is, what did Alexei Aromaniak of Belarus pick? Let's take a look. That is not what we were expecting. He went with the Anok tracker, the 3/3 first strike morph. Alrighty. Well, we asked so what now, and that was the so what now this time around. Right? Fair enough. You at home, maybe you'd have picked the Scoured Barons and that would have been a better pick. Maybe you beat Aromaniak on that one. Let's move on and we get to the reigning player of the year, Jeremy Dezani. So let's see what Dezani did with his first 2 picks. So first up, well, we have a Mistfire Weaver. All right, that's fair enough. And then second pick, he goes for Ice Feather Aven. So, Mistfire Weaver, Ice Feather Aven. Zach Hill, the question becomes, and for everyone at home, so what now?
All right, so first of all, I'm obsessed with Ice Feather Aven. That might be my Halloween costume this year. It's the card that I want to pick more than any other card. So I'm gonna try to make that card work in this set. Immediately, we talked about Mystic the Hidden Way. It's a nice one, it's rock solid, but I'm looking at this Opulent Palace. I don't want to just be the guy that takes all the lands, but on the other hand, I kind of want to be the guy that takes all the lands, that fixes your mana in exactly the way that you need it to be fixed. And again, the card quality is a bit of a drop from there. We see an Efreet Weapon Master, great card, gonna be really, really hard to cast if this is the deck you're going for. Mystic the Hidden Way, we again talked about it. Both it, Bitter Revelation, really solid cards. I like to prioritize, again though, my ability to cast these cards this early in the pack, particularly with a card like Ice Feather Aven, whose value comes, it's obviously very, very powerful to morph. It's also not bad to have a 2/2 flyer on the second turn. Palace gonna ensure that you're basically always able to cast that on turn 2 if you want to. Woolly Loxodon, great card, but I'm going to go with Opulent Palace.
All right, that's absolutely fine. Thanks to Zach. So now, what are we going to do? Let's ask Nate Price what everyone at home is thinking.
Well, looks like most of the people at home are really on the non-basic lands to fix your mana plan. Good 50% of you have gone with Opulent Palace.
All right, let's see what everyone did. Would they have been right? They would. Opulent Palace was the pick for the Player of the Year. All of you at home could be Player of the Year right now because you're with Jeremy Dezani on his pick 3. So let's go around the table to our 4th player and see who's next. It's John Stern from Team Face to Face. So what does he open up? Let's see what he first picks. Answer, it's a debilitating injury, getting something -2/-2. And then his second pick, well, that's going to be Mardu Skull Hunter. So black and black. Zach Hill, so what now?
All right, so when you're taking a card like Mardu Skull Hunter second, and debilitating injury, a mono-colored card first, you're really signaling a preference to be aggressive. So I'm looking at the cards right now that really fit into that plan, because otherwise you've got a 2/1 that comes into play tap for 2 mana as your second pick. That's not really what you want to be doing. As such, I look at a card like Abomination of Gadul, which is really pretty powerful, but doesn't go phenomenally well into that plan. On the other hand, a card like Crippling Chill really does. I mean, blue-black aggro, not really a card that, or a deck that you're drafting that much in this format, but something that could work based off those preferences. That said, you don't want to take anything like Molting Snakeskin. That's a card that you can play in a black aggro deck. You don't want to take it that high. I'm actually looking at Keru Bloodsucker here. Not wonderful with the aggressive theme. It usually goes better into like the black-green toughness deck, but it's a card that can sneak through the last several points of damage. It's also a card that allows you to mitigate removal spells and get some size that allows you to force through damage later in the game.
Okay.
It's still a pretty weak card though, and Singing Bell Strike is there. Dragon Scale Boon is okay, but I'm going to go with Keru Bloodsucker.
All right, well, we had some interesting choices available. Nate, what did people go with?
This was actually really, really tight. All 4 of the cards that we gave people as an opportunity, the Crippling Chill, Dismal Backwater, Abomination of Gadul, and Jeskai Student, are all fairly reasonably split, but the winner is the Crippling Chill at home. People like the removal spell.
Okay, now let's see, because Zach went in another direction entirely. Let's see what John Stern went with. There you see it. Zach, surprised by the pick?
Not really. I mean, lands are solid. We've seen players exhibiting a preference for those early in this format. I think it's a higher quality card, and it still sets you up for the Sultai Guild. So the pick makes sense to me.
All right, let's move on round the table, and this time we go to Seth Manfield. He is in our 5th seat. Let's see what his first couple of picks were. Well, he opens up and he takes a Mantis Rider, so that's a pretty easy, straightforward first pick for him. And then his second pick, well, that is going to be Enoch Bondkin. So we're in Jeskai and then White to cement that potentially. Those are the first two. Zach Hill, so what now?
Well, so Mantis Rider is interesting in that a lot of the value of the card is the ability to cast it on turn 3. So it's not only a Jeskai card. I mean, it's good at any point in the game, but you really want to be you want to have the ability to hit those early. That plus Bond can again signals a preference for aggressive decks. Looking at this pack, the only really aggressive Jeskai card in it is Leaping Master. Now, we saw Yuya Watanabe taking those early, but there's some other options to have in this pack. I look at Treasure Cruise as a card that's only gone further and further up in my pick order. I mean, 3 cards is 3 cards. I don't want to switch colors this early after picking Mantis Rider, one of the best cards in the format, as highly as he did. So, the other cards that are powerful, Retribution of the Ancients is something that you can do an obs on, but it's not really what I'm looking at right now. Wooly Loxodon, fine. Secret Plans, it's kind of a different deck. I'm actually going to stay the course with aggression and take Leaping Master.
All right, okay. Let's see what we go with then. Nate, what do people like?
Well, Treasure Cruise was the early leader right when people started the voting, but I think as soon as Zach started explaining the benefits of staying on aggro, people seemed to really go with him and clearly won just around 60% of the vote.
All right, let's see whether the player agrees. Seth Manfield says yes. Leaping Master for me. Well done, everyone at home. You're on the same page as a 2-time Grand Prix champion. So let's go around the table again. Seat number 6 is Julien Poirot of France. Let's see what he does to open up. He kicks off with an Enoch Bondkin. So there you see the white card there. That's his first pick. And then second pick is also going to be white. Let's take a look. And it is down there at the bottom. It is Watcher of the Roost. Unmorphs, gain yourself 2 life. Flies, of course, the 2/1 flyer. So white and white. So what now, Zach Hill?
Well, at first pick, he took the Bondkin over a card like Ghostfire Blade, really one of the most powerful cards in the format, really signals a strong preference for aggressive white. The first thing I want to do is look at the mono white cards. You have one of the best cards for white aggressive decks in Timely Hordemate. That card represents card advantage, it's tempo advantage, it goes with the warrior sub-theme, and it doesn't commit you to any extra colors. That said, there's one of the better Mardu aggressive cards in the format with a Mardu Rough Rider. That card is phenomenal, but it does commit you to 2 extra colors. I think my plan right here is to stay with the white theme, not commit to anything, and go ahead and take Timely Hordemate, which conveniently gets back your Enoch Bondkin that you took first. So you already have some synergies to go with it. I'm going to go with Timely Hordemate.
All right, Timely Hordemate for Zach Hill. What about the people at home? Nate Price, what have we got?
This is not even close.
Okay.
It is an 80% of the field going for Timely Hordemate, so we're just going to move straight on and see.
Well, let's just see whether we agree. What is the actual pick? Ta-da! Well done, everyone at home. Yep, nice, straightforward. We'll just stay right all the way with Julien Poirot. 2 players to go. By the way, just to let you know, the players are getting seated in the feature match area for round 10. You will not miss a turn, of course. So, our penultimate choice, Suhan Yoon. Let's see what he opens up. Well, I can tell you he begins in mythic fashion with Wingmate Rock, which is a great first pick, of course. So that's his first pick. Where does he go second? Well, he goes with removal and debilitating injury. So we have a white card and a black card. Zach Hill, so what now?
So there's 2 available white-black guilds. Obviously, you've got Mardu, you've got Abzan, but what you really want to do is be able to attack with a creature and then cast your Wingmate Rock, arguably the best card in the format. I think it really probably is the best card in the format. So, getting out of that commitment, not something I'm going to do very readily. I'm going to want to stay white-black. Fortunately, in this pick, you've got 2 really strong black cards. You've got Ruthless Ripper, which is a 1-drop for your Mardu Skull Hunters. It's a 3-drop. It can trade with any of the big creatures. And then you've got Dead Drop, which over the course of the weekend is a card that players just like more and more and more and more. I mean, killing 2 creatures is as good as it's ever going to be, and it's as good as it ever has been. I think when the set came out, people looked at that 10 mana and said, is this ever really going to happen? The answer is yes. And it's very easy to load up your graveyard with cards like Bitter Revelation, and even if you're paying 7 mana for it, it's really good anyway. So I'm going to pick Dead Drop out of this pack.
Dead Drop for Zach. This could be an interesting one because I think, Nate, there's going to be a little bit of RG on this one.
Yeah, it was actually roughly evenly split between the 2 powerful black cards, as Zach mentioned. Ruthless Ripper and Dead Drop have kind of been jockeying back and forth for top spot. In fact, Dead Drop is going to win by a single vote.
171 to 170, 48.0 something.
Yeah.
Right, well, let's see what this very tough pick was for Suhan Yoon. You see, he went with Ruth the Ruthless Ripper. All right, well, can't say further than that. We have 1 to go, and we've saved one of the best plays for last because this is Reed Duke. So you put yourself in the Reed Duke seat. Who wouldn't want to be there? Let's see what he opened up and what he picked first and second. Well, you remember this was actually our featured draft, and he opened Sorin Solemn Visitor, and he took that bad boy. Of course you do. Planeswalker Central, thank you very much. What about pick 2? Well, this was a Bellowing Saddle Brute. So we're black-white and then black for the final time at this show. Zach Hill, so what now?
The thing I'm noticing is both my cards are really powerful, and they're both 4-drops. So I'd really like to avoid taking another 4-drop, just because that's going to make me prioritize less expensive cards later in the draft just to fill out my mana curve. Looking at the pack, that works out perfectly, because I'm in white-black, and I see a Chief of the Edge right there. It's a 2-drop. It's very aggressively statted. It goes right into the deck whose theme I'm kind of trying to draft. Other cards I'm looking at include Abzan Guide, obviously really powerful, 4/4 lifelink, goes great with my Sorin. Merak Nightblade, Ghostfire Blade, an amazingly good card. But right now, I think the allure of Chief of the Edge is just too much to pass up. It just fits perfectly into everything that I'm trying to do. Gives me raid for my Saddle Brute. I'm going to go with Chief of the Edge.
Chief of the Edge for Zach Hill. Now, Nate, for the final time, was this one close?
Yeah, the community's too smart for us. They remembered that they'd watched this one on draft yesterday.
Oh, you bad people.
But at the same time, like beyond the fact that they chose Chief of the Edge, Ghostfire Blade got a reasonable nod from a lot of the players, so I'm assuming hadn't actually tuned in to watch to see exactly what Reed did.
All right, so let's just confirm for you. Ta-da, there it is, Chief of the Edge. Oh, we're going to have to take another feature draft table next time.
Yeah.
They're just too good for us. All right, so there you are, everyone. Our thanks to Zach Hill at the wall. It's a thankless task trying to beat all of you at home because groupthink generally outsmarts one think. The thoughts of the many outweigh the needs of the few and all that kind of stuff. So thanks very much to MTG Community Manager, Nate Price. He's going to be back later on today talking with Hélène Bergeau about some organized play announcements. She's going to be here at the news desk at lunchtime with a couple of very important announcements for you. And then she'll be with you, I know, on Cover It Live to answer everyone's questions.
Exactly.
So we'll look forward to that. And so, for this time at least, that's So What Now?